Welcome to episode 1 of an Ibanez M80M Evertune installation. Behind me, I obviously have an Ibanez M80M. We are going to have a little bit of a look, see what's up, and work out a game plan. Now, I've done one of these before for Kian. That was the first one I'd ever done, so I'm looking forward to doing it again. Basically going to walk you guys through the whole process and talk a little bit about how we're going to do it, what we're going to do, and things I could probably improve on. So enjoy, follow along, but we're going to whip open this case and have a talk about it. It's a long boy at about 29.4 inches. I'm going to route out the stock bridge because the footprint for the Evertune is a little bit smaller than the wings of this bridge here. I'm going to route a big square here, and then I'm going to implant another piece of ash over the top. I'm going to do a little bit of grain matching. These are the bits of ash from hardwoodedge.com. It's about 6 millimeters thick, which is realistically all we need. I've got plenty of grain to choose from. This stuff is a little bit more closed, whereas if we look on the top of the guitar here, we don't have very closed grain. You can see kind of what I'm getting at. So yeah, pretty insane process. When I did Kian's guitar, a lot of people from the States reach out and they wanted me to do the same thing to their instruments. However, when I was located in Australia, shipping and stuff like that's pretty mental. It's not too much more expensive than a regular Evertune installation. There's a certain limit that I'll get to where I'm just like, all right, things are getting excessive. I can basically put some of my losses of income down to experience. You also don't want to make the cost too extreme for the customer because then you don't get to do any cool stuff, and I like doing cool stuff. So the game plan for today, or this episode, is to pull all the hardware off the guitar, get everything lined out correctly, and route out for the ash inlay to go back in the instruments. So that's what you see this episode. We'll see how far we kind of get with things, but yeah, enjoy. I've always wanted one of these, but I had a Ryobi back home that just refused to die, so I could never justify getting a new little petite drill like this. If you're on the road, I'd recommend getting one of these as well. I know there's the rechargeable, like your Ernie Ball tuners and things like that, but I hear a lot of reports of them breaking. This just spins a lot faster, so you can get through your work a lot quicker rather than, you know, the Ernie Ball ones are like this fast and it's too slow. No offense to Ernie Ball. Shout out StewMac for 50 bucks. This has everything you could need. They're high quality bits. I've never had a problem with them. I own 3 of these kits. One that I take with my master classes, one in the workshop for me, one in the workshop for Kyle. Now I've got this one for Arizona. So I'm just going to use some pliers and just gently pry that up. New solder melts old solder. So if you're ever having problems with getting a solder point to melt, use a little bit of new solder. I'd also recommend getting the leaded stuff. The unleaded stuff doesn't join as well. You have to get it a lot hotter. I've been fixing a lot of animatronics for my father-in-law lately, so I just got this little flash bolt battery powered soldering iron from Amazon. Not the best for doing guitar electronics. I will upgrade before I rewire this instrument. A lot of people who come into my workshop and they tell me their pot keeps spinning or their output jack keeps spinning and it doesn't tighten. More likely than not, you are missing a split washer. These little stars, or a star washer, whatever you want to call it. These grab into the wood and help hold things tight. what we need to do is we have the bare body. I need to delete this previous bridge because when I put the H-string template on, you'll see that the stock footprint for this bridge falls well within previous route. So we don't want to end up with the Evertune unit sitting here and then you can see these little wings. It's just going to look ugly. It won't look very professional. I've done Evertune installations before where an instrument had a Floyd Rose and I've put blocks in and glued them all in nice and neat and tidy, but by the time the Evertune goes in, you can still see the wings and it just doesn't look very neat. So I started to take it upon myself to delete the entire bridge, and then if we can pretend this is a piece of timber, reinsert the timber here, match the grain lines or respray the instrument, and then we can go ahead and begin to route the Evertune and it looks perfectly factory. So that's the idea here. I'm going to start by running this template along the very edges. So this template isn't the exact size that I need, so I'm going to have to remove and replace this 4 times so that I can align each corner so we have a perfectly square route to work with for when we end up placing in our transfer block. Our bit is in our router. I need to get my router zeroed in. The easiest way to do that is to take your templates, place the one you're using on top of the other one and place your router on top, overlapping them so I'm not plunging through the actual gap in the template. I'm just going to plunge through one template onto the surface, the hard surface of another one. All right, so I'm going to plunge until I stop. So my router's now zeroed in. If you were to take this off and then check, the surface of my bit is at the very base of that router. Now I need to plunge through 6 millimeters. So on this router in particular, I have 2 ways of doing that. I can zero in my manual depth gauge here, and then I can loosen this off and plunge the router 6 millimeters further down. Or I have this handy little micro adjuster here that has fractions of a bald eagle and millimeters. So this is set zeroed at 0.5. So if I rotate this way, that's 0.5 millimeter. That's 1 millimeter, 1.5, and 6. Okay. Now this should be another 6 millimeters deeper than the underside of my router base. I will tape this on. I'll do my pass. I will show you the end result. You can see I've just barely scraped away the paint from the bottom because I want the glue to be able to stick to the base here, because there's going to be a section of this previous route that doesn't get rerouted out. So I want to make sure that my inlay never lifts. So I want to make sure I've got some clean wood to glue down to. Okay, I have this realigned for this back corner here. I'm kind of going around clockwise because I've done this straight edge here. You can see I've kind of just skimmed, which is what I want. So now I know that I can align this corner and the longest back edge as well. So now I know that this part through here will be pretty square and I can just keep coming around. Be no use if I was to route this corner and then that corner, that one and then that one. I find this is just easier for this custom way of doing things. Done. Lift it off. I'll do this corner, then this corner. So now I'm aligning the final corner. I know that my reference here has already been routed. My reference here has already been routed. So if these two get perfectly aligned and I zip this little corner out and flatten the bottom, I know that everything should be very, very close to square. I'm sure there's a different way of doing this and getting it square. You know, one of those ways would probably be having the right size, nice square template, but sometimes you've got to work with what you have, and that is often what I do. So now I've got a nice square route. Obviously these are where the ferrules went. This was a little back pin. This edge still got a little bit of paint on it. Remember, this is end grain that you're looking at, so paint is going to soak in here, but that's just been touched, as has this front edge. So I should have a nice square route to place an inlay block into. Pretty good match. Now we've got a nice square route in this guitar. ready for an ash inlay. So once that ash inlay is in, then I'm going to put the neck back on and find my center line, route for the Evertune, get everything level. That's for episode 2. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just post them in the comments and then I will answer them at the start of the next video. Hit that bell icon, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I won't try and punish you guys too much with those sorts of requests. I'll just try and get on with the work. Yeah, thanks again, and have a good one.